farther. Let's push this down anyway. It's about 2 o'clock. And I'm tired. And I'm not going to be doing a later. I'm not going to be doing a later live. So I thought we would do a really quick craft. And the little craft we're going to do today is turn these vertebrae into earrings. Actually hang like this. I don't want them to hang like this. I want them to hang like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm either going to use these plain silver bead caps or these little decorative bead caps. And I'm going to also embellish them. And I may even use these as a way to embellish them and then clamp them off just to add different movement. But I'm going to have to start with hot glue. And then when the hot glue's over, I'm going to have to come back in with the jewelry glue to do a secondary glue, because I'm a little bit picky about my jewelry gluing. That seems so high today. It didn't seem that high yesterday, but it seems so high today. Oh well, we'll deal with it. Whatever. Let me see if we can just sit it down here. This is not like the most this isn't like the most attractive angle for me, but I don't really flipping care. So okay, got my jump rings out. I've got these out, and I think I'm going to use the plain one of these, because I may very well go in and really zhuzh up these rounds and add a bit more pizzazz than what some people are used to. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with just hot glue. And then after all this is put together, then I will go back. Don't you worry. I will go back and I will then fill. I have a little like needle syringe. I will fill everything to the rim with the jewelry glue, because that's what I have to do when I'm making this vertebrae. So we're just going to glue the vertebrae into there because I want it to hang down. So we're going to start with this, and then I'll have to do the separate jewelry gluing after the fact. This is just the way you have to start with these, the way it goes. Well, let me see. Everybody saying howdy, 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 howdy. Is that Booma? We got Booma in here. No, we don't. Is that Booma? I was asleep during the Booma thing the other night. I have not been resting well. My thyroid has been on a vendetta against me. And then my dad has had his heart surgery, which went well. He's home. And I just talked to him. He's feeling good enough to be cantankerous. And I just haven't been sleeping well. And I meant to log on, and I did log on, and I fell asleep. But it was nice because I fell asleep to voices I knew. That was pleasant. But it was the first time I had actually really slept well, and I got like a good 2-hour power nap, and then I had to get up and bank the fire. It's not been super cold here today, but man, the wind is horrible here today. It's horrible. Okay, so this is the first thing, and I will go back, like I said, I will go back and double do all of the jewelry glue. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add these little lever back hooks with jump rings onto these caps. And it's because I really love these lever back hooks. And somebody bought the other beaver hat in the store, in David's store the other day, which was hilarious. And y'all, I've been trying to find a way to make a possum that looks like a ninja for Boomazon, because the Naughty Ninja podcast and stuff. And then it came to me, I was making a Kiss Your Butt frog just because I needed to make something that my mind could make without much thought. Y'all do that? I do that a lot. And I sat down and I started to make his eyes, and I thought I could just put these eyes in black and then crochet off the edge of the eye, crochet the little, rest of the little eye wrap. So he looked, and tie it on the back of his head so he looks like a little ninja. And I thought, duh. And so I think I'm going to try to make a ninja kiss your butt frog. Kiss my butt frog. I need a nap so bad, y'all. I'm not even joking. I need a nap so bad. Also need another pair of tweezers, of pliers, but ask my husband about that and he'll look at you like, oh, I didn't do it. Yeah, I did. They're somewhere, he says. Somewhere. Somewhere could be anywhere. Where am I from? I am from the Cumberland Plateau in Tennessee. So we're going to hook that onto there. And then we're going to hook our lever back onto that. And this is where if my eye physician would do his duty with my Graves' disease, I could see, but I can't. So we're going to do it the best we can. I always make David come back and pinch these and line them up for me, because we all know how bad my eyes are since my Graves' disease has started getting really bad. So, do y'all hear the wind? Man, I'm waiting for a pine tree to tip over. That's not a good feeling. David cuts, I'm married to a lumberjack, basically. He cut every tree in the yard except for the ones he really liked. But we left one pine tree, and it is in a precarious place, but it is just so pretty. But I've had some concerns about it this winter, so we may have to top it next year and incline it to fall a different way should we have another snow load or ice load winter. Y'all hear that wind? Whew, good grief. Okay, so now we've got our lever back and our jump ring onto our little barrel holder that's got our vertebrae in it. Now, what I want to do is I want to have more movement down here. And so one thing I'm thinking about doing is possibly sticking, I'm going to trim it and stick a little like guinea feather up in there. But. Then I'm like, some women really like to have pretty stuff on. I'm making earrings out of coyote neck vertebrae. So I thought, well, let's try to cater to those women that really like the beautiful shiny things, the women that are the magpies of the world. We all know they're out there. They all know who they are. It's okay. You can call them a magpie. They understand. Where in the flip is the hole in this bead? I know I'm not that blind. Oh, no, perhaps I am. Perhaps I am. I don't know. I want to do these pearly ones. Ouch. Let's do a pearly one. And I don't want it to look that color. Okay, yeah. And we're going to do one of these faceted ones. Okay. Made my mind up. Will it fit? Heck no. Far dadgummit. I'm going to have to get out into my bead box. I wanted to use these little bead rounds to go around them because they are really pretty. But sometimes they are a really big pain in the tuchus. The tuchus. Well, these are pretty. Actually, I found these. I think these are pretty. These are, let me put one on, you can see it. These are silver. And let's flank them with these faceted beads. Do I need a nap more than I need to be doing this? Absolutely. But you know something? I don't know. I just needed to make something. I've got a new dream catcher over here that I've finally figured out and got it done last night. It's going to be one of the pretty ones that goes for the tribes in the spring to choose from. It's one of the pretty, so it won't go to like a council house or a ceremony house, but it can be picked for, one of the tribe members that wants to take it home. And then the next one I'm going to make is got to be completely au naturel because it's one that could possibly end up in a ceremonial house. So I've got to calm down my flamboyance so that it will be acceptable should they want to put it in one of the community homes or ceremonial houses. So yeah. And then I've got to start making rattles and my ceremonial sticks because I've had 3 retired in the last 4 years. And that's a pretty good track record, especially for somebody that's one generation shy being able to get registered. I'm like the mutt that should be able to get papers but can't. It's kind of irritating sometimes, actually. But that's okay. They're still very sweet to me, and they do enjoy my artwork. And I enjoy making things for them, so it's not a big deal. And they still treat me like family, so it doesn't really bother me at all. Okay, so I think that's pretty. It's got some clear on there. It's got some silver. It's got some extra movement. And what we can do, ouch, is we can hook this through this vertebrae. And then we can put it back in its little divot. And when I say divot, that's exactly what that is. And then what we're going to do is we are going to cramp. We're going to make a puppy to where when we get it in there, it connects to the next one and it won't let go. But I tell you what, they say it's not going to snow. But those are snow clouds, and that sounds like a snow wind. And I was raised on this mountain, and it don't sound like anything that sounds good. And I'm going to cramp this whole safety thing and everything all together because what we're going to do is put it back inside the vertebrae and glue it. Did I successfully do that? Maybe for the most part. Hey. So then we're going to have a vertebrae that hangs, and then it's going to have movement down underneath it that is very pretty. But still we have the bone structure that gets the, oh my gosh, what have you got in your ear, response that, that's what people want when they wear these things, let's be honest. So then the next thing I'm going to do is probably burn myself with this glue gun. I'm going to put a little spot of hot glue. And I'm going to anchor that right there. Man, that wind is sounding mean. I'm going to anchor that right there. And then I'll come back later and I will do the jewelry glue. And probably what I'll do with the jewelry glue, and this is about how long they are. So if you're not fat like me, you got a good long neck, they're really pretty. Then what I'll come back and do is all up and down the sides here, I'll add like little rhinestones. And I've got little rhinestones, little silver things, little disco ball looking things, and just a whole bunch of little pearly looking things. I've even got some gold leaf. And we'll just kind of do these in a silver monotone chrome looking thing. And yeah, I think that will be really pretty. Yep, I think that'd be really pretty. Now I have got Cody claws. David's cleaning me some Cody claws, some Cody toe bones, some bobcat toe bones. I can't remember if I got bobcat claws or not. There comes the sun. Hello. But I do have a lot of bones coming to be worked with to make a lot of jewelry, and I'm going to have fun making this jewelry. And I still think we could probably put a feather in there somewhere. Leave it to me. I just always want to put a feather. Listen, if you're native, you want to put a feather everywhere. It's a compulsion. And that's still kind of really pretty. I don't know. I'll do it with that one first and add a lot of beads, and then we'll see what I think it looks like, and then we'll go on. So now the problem is going to be is mimicking the other one and cleaning up the glue that you don't want showing, and then going back and adding the jewelry glue that needs to be there for the absolute hold, because that is the last step. So these will actually hang up, and I will hang them up on a um, lose my words, like a clothespin, and I'll hold them with a clothespin, and I will push them, up and down, and put the jewelry glue in all the little nooks and crannies it needs to go into, so that it is not going to fall apart for whoever buys it, and they don't see, big mounds of glue. And normally on the front of the vertebrae like that, I normally get a really beautiful bead and do something like that. And actually, we have these little silver ones. And I think those little silver ones might be really pretty right there. Heck far, let's just do that, and then I can hit it from the back with the jewelry glue. When you have an idea, let's just roll with it. So I deal with these 2 to 3 times when I make them. I deal with them the first time to kind of see what all I'm going to need, how I want to make it. Then I do the primary put together. Then I stare at them for a while and see what else I might like. And then I have to go back and I have to doctor it up with all the jewelry glue, because we don't want anything falling apart. And yeah, I think that just kind of made that perfect right there. You can see it looks like a little disco ball in the middle, and then all of those at the bottom, the silver cap at the top. Yeah. I mean, it takes a certain type of person to wear my jewelry, I'm not going to lie. But I think that turned out pretty doggone cute. So now I'm just going to make another one just like it. And I'm going to get a little bit more daring with my jewelry. A lot of my bigger vertebrae, people just want them on large rounds. And I understand that. That's fine. But even with some of my larger ribs, we're going to be doing some rib necklaces. With my smaller ribs, we're going to be doing some really funky rib earrings. There's a possibility that I may even be doing some kind of like headband, like they'll have a bone headband here, and it will braid in, so that if you go to like Ren fairs and stuff, you can braid stuff into your hair. Graves' disease is when your thyroid does not function properly, and it puts out the wrong chemicals in your body, which can kill you. So I have to be monitored super closely by my endocrinologist. And the last little bit, my Graves' diseases has been being just a little bit of a hooch. So we've not been getting along. I've had some really strange readings from some of my blood work, and we're just trying to deal with it and make the best of it and go on. But I have a neuromuscular disorder that's like MS, and then I have this disorder, and I was a freaking Amazon when I was young, and broke horses, halter broke show cattle, lifted weights, I power lifted. I was hunting wild hogs on the weekend, helped my brother do taxidermy most of my life. My husband's a trapper tanner still. And when I worked for the state and supervised murderers for the state and sex offenders, and I did cognitive behavioral therapy for the prison systems, and then I did counseling privately for small sliding scale businesses, because that's what was needed in the area, and that's where my heart was. And finally the hospitalizations became too much, and they told me I was going to have to stop because I was just pushing my body too much, because I live in Podunk, and so I was driving 3 to 4 hours on top of my work day to be able to use my degrees. And so now that I've been home long enough, I've found kind of a balance. But because I'm used to doing so much work, I'm bored out of my mind. And so I do a lot of crafting, and I've gone back to a lot of my native stuff, and I do it just to stay in touch with who I am and kind of what I'm all about, and the things that make me happy. So I've had a full life, but um, this disorder, it slowly attacks all my organs. So it is basically a terminal diagnosis. It's just like the slowest roller coaster ride in the world. But I do, I'm very focused on doing well because I have grandbabies. And so I want to be here for my grandbaby. So I try to take the best care of myself and keep myself focused on things, keep myself um, working on things, happy. I still help my area send like the gel and stuff. They don't have a dedicated resource personnel that helps get people into grant and scholarship beds at drug facilities. And so I still send people to, I still find grant and scholarship beds and send people to treatments. And I do it for free because nobody else is going to do it and they need help. So that's what I'm here for. So I still do that. People will just knock on my door because they know what I used to do and, where I used to work, and they'll ask for help. And if they've took the time to find me and ask for help, I will normally help them. And lo and behold, just a moment ago, I had a lady do a grocery delivery for me. And I just had a feeling like she was having issues with her children. And I said, I'm sorry, do you have your children? And she just kind of looked, she goes, no. She said, I was supposed to get them back, but the court says they're not ready to take a chance on me just yet. And she said, it kind of broke my heart. And she said, how did you know that? And I said, I didn't. I said, it just come to me. I said, it just felt like something I needed to ask you. And I do that a lot. If you know me, I do that a lot. Come to find out, the court system's kind of being a booger to her. Court systems are not always the best. They think they're doing always the right thing, but sometimes they don't get it right. Sometimes they cause more problems than they fix. But her husband had completely gotten off paper, completed 6 years, and that's a big deal. That's hard to do because supervision is not made to be easy to get off of. So give that man a trophy because he did work. And she said, I'm working my butt off and we're trying to pay our attorney so that we can fight to get the kids back. And I said, I believe you will. And she said, no one else believes in me. And I said, I believe in you. And I said, I believe you will. And I said, so much, I said, to the point, and I went back in my crochet pile and I got 2 possums. I said, I'm giving you these 2 crochet things that I made. I said, and these are what you are going to give your children when you get them back. I said, so when you get up in the morning and you doubt yourself, I said, you look at these and realize that a complete stranger met you and in 5 minutes did not doubt you. And it kind of made her want to cry. And she said, thank you so much. And I said, hey, not a problem. I said, I've seen people do hard things, with their lives. And I said, I'm a champion for the underdog. And I said, I love it. I love it when people think you're not going to succeed and you come back and you succeed. And I said, I love it when they have to sit there and eat crow. And I said, so you make these people eat crow. I said, you keep working for those babies. And she was in tears, but she was like, this has been the best delivery all day. And I was like, well, I didn't mean to make you cry. And she's like, no, thank you. I'm so happy to have met you. And it was just a really nice, it's just a really nice little moment. I put one in the front and one in the back. I think that's the best way to do this. So I hope she does get her kids back. And I hope they enjoy their possums, and I hope she knows that no matter what you've done in your life, I have seen people overcome every criminal crime juxtaposition of drug use. I've seen it all, and And sometimes it can seem like the court is battling against you, and I can agree. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they are. But just understand that there is someone out there that will believe in you and that will be in your corner and will help you. And and sometimes all you need is that one person believing in you for you to believe in yourself. And I've seen so many people change their life that I never count anyone down and out, ever. I've seen so many people change their lives. I really need to get some of my Pirellis on here to talk about how they went about changing their lives from being really, just really big thugs to some really amazing people. So, but I don't know. For some reason, I just felt like I was supposed to say that to her, and I didn't want to make her cry. But I guess it was just what she needed to hear. I think she was down on herself, and I think she just needed to hear somebody believed in her enough to hand her $70 worth of crochet. But, sometimes it just takes a physical, like she'll get up every day and she'll see those possums, and she'll see a physical representation of somebody's belief in her. And that will remind her, yeah, I can do this. Somebody believed in me. I can do this. So, well worth it. Time well spent for me. If it helps her this little bit, that's exactly where those possums needed to be. So, okay, guys, here we go. We got some disco ball vertebrae. I know that the light is not the best because of the evening sun, but they do have the clear, silver clear, and then a little shaker ball. And then they've got the little disco balls in the holes on each side of the vertebrae itself. And when I come back with the jewelry glue, I may do some little rhinestones up and down the sides. I don't know. It depends on the mood that hits me when I start putting these. You never know what I'm going to do. But, they've got a good length to them. I like the length a lot. So I'm going to set these aside. I'll let these finish drying, and then I'll come back and do the jewelry glue later. I always have to do 2 or 3 gluings on them because I am anal retentive. I don't want anything to fall apart. If you like my jewelry, my husband buys me everything so I can craft, so I don't go crazy, because I'm used to working. Now I'm stuck at home. And if you want to feel sorry for him and purchase something and say thank you for letting your wife craft, his Etsy store is Hillbilly Heart Decor. And I got this really pretty necklace, and I have a really pretty antler drop, but I've got to drill a hole in it. And I'm thinking about I love to get like the prettiest, girliest necklaces and then put like an antler drop on there, but then like pair it, and I have to get out my little table clamp and drill and gem drills and put a really pretty gem on top of it or something. Or I'll go to these little tiny antler tip beads that we've made and make some of those. And sometimes people like a really simple necklace, and they just like maybe one of the buffalo horn beads on a little drop or something, and they want something really simple. And I can understand that too. I sometimes like simple stuff. Don't drop things, Elizabeth. Don't drop things, Elizabeth. But I will say that these little antler drops, they're tumbled. They really do take a long time to make. They're tumbled. I think I'm going to have to get my bigger size clamps out. Yeah, I'm going to have to get my bigger wedges out. That's okay. This right here is actually part of a water buffalo horn that's been turned into a bead. So I have different size drops to put different beads and stuff on. But I really think I want to I could potentially glue one of these up in here. May have to file it a little bit. Or I could potentially just get a bigger drop and put one of those beads on the drop. But part of the fun is trying to figure out what you want to do and what will look the best. And this right here is I think it's almost too big for every one of my bead pockets. So that might not work for that reason. You never know what I'm going to make. But now I do have some ideas for some really amazing claw jewelry that'll be coming up after the winter. Is this what I'm looking for? This is what I'm looking for. Wait, will he fit in there? Really? No. Will he fit in there? Oh, so close. I mean, if I wanted to sit here and file on him for a minute, he might, but I don't want to file on him. Let's get out one of these nice little silver drops. Maybe a couple. Sometimes the men like the really like big pronounced drops. And the women kind of like the less pronounced, a little bit smaller, a little bit more demure. Which, I mean, I understand. I'm out of a lot of my smaller antler stuff, and I'm out of a lot of my smaller claws. I do believe I still have some teeth. Let's say. I say questionably. I do still have some teeth. Hang on just a moment. Now, these have to go through a sanitization process, so they're all very clean. Here comes my dog. My dog she's an epileptic, and we foster her, and we think we found her a home. Boy, she hears me move. She thinks she's going to get a treat. Here she comes running. Okay, so I have a little tiny raccoon tooth right here. And I think he might look cute. That's going to be too big. Nope, you go. Go sit down. Go lose this chair. Go. I'm busy. You go sit down. Go lose this chair. Go. Let's see if I can find the right size here really, really, really quick. Here's one I think might work. This one is just like a dome-shaped one. And might need a little bigger. Because I want it to cover the entire top of the tooth. Just for safety purposes, so that when I do glue, it gets a good hold on the tooth. Because I have to come back with 2 different types of glue. So let's see what we can find in here. And yes, sadly I have organized, but it's hard to organize so many different types of jewelry components. It's just very difficult. That's pretty big, but it might work. I just don't really want it to be, I don't want to lose the sight of the tooth. So let's see what else I can find. That might be a nicer one. Is that going to be a nicer one? Yeah, okay. Yeah, here we go. We found just another dome one that's going to fit this tooth much better. So let me start again with the hot glue, and then after it dries and shrinks, I have to go back with the jewelry glue. The hot glue is just to, man, it makes that metal hot. hot glue is just to get the initial hold so that when I add the jewelry glue, the final process is held where I want it. Oh, I should have gotten my clothespin to hold it before I started wrangling it, because that thing's hot. Okay, I like it quite like that. So we're going to let that dry. And then what we're going to do is thread it into this really pretty drop hook and onto this really beautiful necklace. And I use titanium. I use stainless or titanium because I want it to last and I want it to wear well. But if you break it or you lose it, I don't want you to cry because you lost, so much money. That's so I use nicer metals that are hypoallergenic, and I try to do the nickel free when at all possible. And sometimes I do reclaimed silver, but at the same time, I don't want to get something so expensive that if you break it or lose it, it's going to cause a massive breakdown in your life, because, hey, I'm a rough and tumble gal, and I break jewelry quite easily. And so I have found that these work really well for me. And so it's kind of my go-to when I make stuff for other people that are like me, that like to express themselves through jewelry, and they aren't really constantly obsessed with checking it and making sure it's okay. They're still going to go through the day and do what they need to do, and not always be super, super, super aware because life happens, y'all. Life happens. So I'm gonna crimp this in here, and then later, when everything is calmed down and all the glues have calmed down, I will do the double glue, and I'll give a touch of glue on that dangle as well. I'll double glue the tooth in there, and then somebody will have a beautiful drop tooth necklace. And there's a possibility I may sell these as a set because they kind of look cute together. I'm not gonna lie, but I have a few hours of gluing and drying and looking and pilfering with them to make sure that they're ready to go. So, but so this is just what I do when I and normally when I sit here and do this, I do this for hours at a time. But I just wanted to do this really quick today to kind of share my mindset and thought behind my jewelry making. Fixing to do a bunch of jewelry making. Fixing to make some jewelry, unlike the jewelry that I usually make every year. I love these. Man, I'm going to have to make me some of these. Let me tell you what, ladies in big cities, you wear these, you ain't going to get mugged. Because they're going to wonder what else you got on you. I will say that some of my teeth pendants and teeth earrings are my favorite things because they're just very dainty. But they look really cute. They wear really well. And for me, from a native standpoint, wearing something natural is always the best for your mind, body, and soul. So it kind of keeps you grounded and connected. So, and I'm sorry I ignored the chat, but I apologize. I was just busy and I'm about half blind. So I appreciate you spending time with me. I do this a lot. My husband is a trapper tanner. We just grew up in Appalachia. We're both backwoods people. I went and got my education, but my body crapped out on me. So, that happens. My children are grown. I do have grandbabies. I have 4 by blood and 1 bonus. So I have 5 altogether. And this is my passion now because I'm someone that has to feel productive at all times. And because I'm so remote, and with my degree, I have to physically work in the physical building. I can't do online because I do not have the licensure. I have the master level counselor. So I have to work under a licensed therapist in the building. I do the same job, but they just sign off on my treatment plans. But Tennessee has not moved forward to allow me, people with a master level counseling degree, to work in the online realm under licensed people. So, maybe one day they'll change it, and maybe I will be healthy enough at that point to maybe carry a small caseload. It would make me very happy. But until then, I find things to do, and I celebrate my Scots Irish and Cherokee and Lenape roots. I love to make things. My mama is a seamstress and like a she quilts everything. My dad is, 70, almost 74, and still managing a cattle farm. Just had a heart surgery and is already ready to be back out counting calves and checking everything. We're just people that don't sit still very well. And so I like to be productive. So this is what I do. I do the dream catchers. I make fur hats. I make like some fur clothing, some fur mantles. If you like to do Ren fairs and stuff like that, I make some cute stuff like that. And this is this time of year where I start doing all new stuff. So if you want to watch what I'm going to create, or you want to get maybe some fur off of my husband who does his own tanning, and you want to make your own stuff for a Ren fair, you can go to his Etsy store, which is Hillbilly Heart Decor, and it stays picked pretty good, but we're trying to load it every few days. But I'm fixing to do a lot of jewelry. He bought a lot of jewelry stuff, and he was like, have fun, make you and your friends some jewelry. And he's like, just maybe like every 4 or 5, make something for me to pay me back for buying all this crap. And I'm like, okay, sure. So he will be having some of my jewelry items in his store. And lots of times people also will message him and be like, can your wife crochet this? And 9 times out of 10, I can, and that's fine. So a lot of people that don't have an outlet for crochet or have someone in their family that crochets, they message him and they're like, hey, can your wife crochet this? And he'll be like, hang on. He'll ask me, and then he'll tell. But, bless his heart, he buys all the yarn, he buys all the craft stuff, and he just lets me express myself and stay sane. And I was supposed to be the breadwinner, and life had other plans with my health. And all of this presented when I was attacked with an axe when I worked at a wilderness boot camp. We were felling timber, and I had a young man that was going to go after the other 13 children. And I got the other 13 kids away from him and the female counselor. And I had to square up with him because he was going to hurt someone else or himself. And he threw the axe at me, and it caused a lot of nerve damage and bone damage in my left foot and leg. And that started a lot of surgeries, a lot of steroid surgeries. And I did a lot of physical therapy, finally got to where I could walk again, and immediately went to the police academy and started doing probation officer crap. But I started having a lot of problems, like MS problems. But MS was never showing up on the test. It took them almost 7 years to diagnose me. And I'll have you know, within just days of being diagnosed, the state that I'd worked for a decade was that I'd gotten every award for, had done everything. I mean, I was like the champion in every office. They were done with me. So if I had a message for anybody, it would do what you love, work hard, but never work hard enough to harm yourself for your job, because your job is not going to be there to take care of you. So work hard, do your best, but always protect yourself at all costs first, because you are what matters. And help people, but don't help people at your expense. Make sure that you're helping them and not enabling them. And if you're going to go into a line of work that has an emotional capacity, make sure that you're prepared for it. Because it's highly likely that you will end up like me, injured because of helping someone that could not control their outburst. And you will have to learn how to conduct yourself and create a new lifestyle to stay sane and feel productive. Because I've got 8 years of college in my noggin, and it's basically useless, and it bothers me. But what helps me is going back to my roots and remembering other people in my family that did amazing things without a college education. They came out of these woods, they settled this land, they learned how to work with plants and crops. And I love to learn about those people in my family and celebrate that heritage, and like to go to festivals and talk about that. My husband likes to go to festivals and talk about the tanning and the trapping and understanding nuisance animals and how to have a balance in nature that works for everybody, especially the animals. And so that's become our new passion. And so if you want to share in that, you can go to his Etsy store, which is Hillbilly Heart Decor, and see what he's got up. He just changes every few days when he has time to put stuff up. But I may, looking at this, since I made these online, I may give these to him after I get them finished glued and deal with them for a little while and make sure I'm happy with them. I may give them to him to put on his store to sell. So it's a nice little way for me to kind of put a piece of me in the store to say thank you for spending time with me. So I'm going to shut up now. I appreciate you spending time with me. I'm going to try to snag a quick little nap. Oh, we've got the big hunting man in the house. Here's the Trapper Tanner, Mr. Dave. Lean over, say howdy.
Hey.
That's the guy who brings me all the bits and pieces that I put together. So thank you so much for spending time with me. I'm going to help him out with whatever he's looking for in this kitchen. Remember to keep my daddy in your prayers and his heart. We've got Regina, our gypsy girl. Keep her in your prayers. She's still sick. We've got a few people that have traveled, have had some loss in their families. Keep them in your prayers. We've got a great subgroup. Welcome to the family. If you're new, I hope you stick around. And when this loads, if you have questions for me, put them down in the comments and I will make sure to respond. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys. Luna's like, feed me. If you're going to be in here, feed me.